Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Dan and I'm here to bring you another FPL video. In this one we've got the transfer targets list where I choose 5 players that I think we should be considering for our teams for this week and beyond. Of course this is a rebrand of the watch list video. If you're a returning viewer and you've watched one of those videos before, this is essentially the same content, the same XG, XA, same statistical breakdown I provided before, but just a slightly rebranded in terms of title. Of course, if you're new to the channel as well and you do like what you see, then please consider subscribing to the channel. We are well on our way to reaching that 500 subscriber mark, and my aim is to reach that ahead of the World Cup deadline. So if you can facilitate and help that in any way, then please do. I'd appreciate the support. And of course, if you like the video as well, guys, then please smash that like button below. Of course, then, let's have a look at our first player on the list. We have here Phil Foden. So it's the second week of asking that I'm bringing him into some kind of content that I've created. Of course, last week he trolled so many of us after being benched by Pep, and with so many of us content creators putting him on a thumbnail and recommending that we select him ahead of that Brighton fixture for him to only feature for 30 minutes with no returns. That being said though, since that 1-pointer, he has actually risen in price again. So he rose in price ahead of that Brighton fixture, 0.1. He's now risen again another 0.1 to £8.5 million total. I do still think though, ahead of these 3 fixtures, he warrants that selection. I think, you know, Pep's got to be looking at the same, I suppose, let's say, output that the rest of us are. I mentioned in the breakdown video that I really do think that Phil brings a tremendous amount of energy to this City side. I think he should get the nod ahead of Mahrez, even Grealish as well. I just don't think they provide as much, let's say, energy levels and, you know, that kind of that quality that we know that this man can bring. As of yet, I just think, you know, Grealish needs even more time than maybe a lot of people anticipated. I really do think Mahrez is falling out of favour. I don't think he's the same player that he was when City first bought him. And I think, to be honest, ahead of the World Cup, this young Englishman is really going to be trying to prove a point. I think that he needs to be considered by Southgate for pretty much as a you know, a non-negotiable starter for his lineup. So there's lots at stake here for this man individually, but also I think Pep, from a City perspective, he needs to get his team right over these next few weeks. I don't think he's going to want to go into the World Cup break second place. I think he's going to want to overtake Arsenal if he can into that top spot, and I think this is a man that can help facilitate that. So he does still get recommended by me once again. It may come to burn me again, but I just think with his underlining data, the fixtures ahead of him as well, I just think it warrants his choice. So that's why he's number 1 on this watch list, guys. Second of all, we've then got Marcus Rashford. Now, I think, to be honest with him, maybe it's a slight knee-jerk reaction to essentially what he did yesterday. He scored a phenomenal header. If you haven't seen it, it was kind of a non-Rashford type goal, to be honest. But nonetheless, I still think that with these fixtures, I feel like some form is going to be created out of him. We've seen him do some great things already so far in the Premier League, and it's just worth noting that across the whole campaign, he's already scored more goals and created more chances, let's say, than he did across the whole of last season. So I think, you know, he's got to be considered at this price point. I do believe that, you know, maybe Martinelli, even Trossard now, even ahead of that Chelsea fixture, Brighton have then got a couple of good fixtures as well. Maybe at that similar price point, he's a little bit lower down the list. But if you're looking for a second mid-price midfielder asset for these fixtures, I think he's worth the go. Like, he's only 15.7% owned, so he's not a full true differential, let's say, but I think he offers enough threat, enough value. And of course, he's an out-of-position midfielder for the most part. I don't think Ronaldo's going to get into that number 9 slot. And I think realistically, if Rashford plays there, he's going to have more and more opportunities that we need, really, from that FPL standpoint, right? So I think he's going to be a very, very strong pick over these next few weeks. Third up, we've then got the talk of the town, essentially the talk of the FPL community at the moment, this man, Miguel Almeron. I just think that, you know, everything just seems to be working for him at the moment, personally. I think whether that's managerial style from Eddie Howe or the tactics he's deploying, I don't know what it is, but something's just worked. It's just a magic culmination of all the right things for this man. He's already been, in my opinion, a natural kind of talent and goal scorer. I just don't think maybe the best was ever brought out of him before. So I've been very surprised and impressed with him over these past few weeks, and definitely somebody that flew under the radar for me. So congratulations to those that did bring him in and you know, essentially looked at this underlining data and could see the returns he had in him. I think over the next few weeks we may see a little bit of a dip. I would say that variance does tend to come into play in FPL. It's very rare that you get double digits consistently for more than, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks. It's a very, very hard thing to do. But ahead of Aston Villa and Southampton fixtures in the next two, I kind of find it hard to not see it happening. I think he is going to be consistent. And to be honest, scoring 67 points already at a 5.4 million price point, what is there not to like about this man, right? I just think that if you're looking and you're in the fortunate enough position to maybe have 2 free transfers, or you're looking at restructuring your squad, just that slight bit ahead of that World Cup reset button, then maybe he provides that real budget access midfielder to then being able to upgrade somebody else with the rest of your money. So I really do think that he's got to be a very serious consideration for us for the next few weeks. Then finally, I've also got another Manchester United player. I've kind of surprised at myself, really, for putting two Man United players in one video. But I must say that, again, with the fixtures and the performances that Dallow's been putting together in recent weeks, both in Europe and, of course, in the Premier League, I think it's going to be difficult to look past anybody else. I think you could probably put Luke Shaw in a similar bracket or a similar category to him as well. Very similar price point. Of course, another Manchester United defender, and does look like he's getting nailed ahead of Malacia moving forward in the Premier League. I just think that Dallow offers maybe that slight bit more penetrating attacking threat than what Luke Shaw does. I may be wrong. Of course, I say both of them I think are equally as good picks, but there's just something about Dallow that I like. Of course, he's already risen in price from 4.6 to 4.7, so some managers may be disappointed to have missed out on that price rise. But at 10.4% owned over these next few fixtures, I can really see again some very promising returns from him. And then last but not least, of course, it is this man here, the differential pick, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yes, it is a man that, to be honest, in the FPL world, he took it by storm, and he really, was someone that we couldn't go without a couple of seasons ago. But unfortunately, injury-stricken, and lots of different situations have happened where he hasn't been consistent enough to really warrant a choice, especially at £8 million. It was a starting price for him that was way too high, considering his injury and essentially his minutes risk. And to be honest, it's only now at game week 14 and beyond that I'm considering him. So it's taken a very, very long time for this man to reach full fitness, or very close to it. And I still don't think over these next 3 weeks he will get 90 minutes. But what I will say is that at 0.4% ownership, he definitely, over the game week 14 to 16 period, offers a fantastic amount of value for that differential pick. I think that if you're one of those managers that's in a fortunate position where not only can you get to him, maybe you can make a few transfers to just restructure your squad slightly ahead of the World Cup reset button, I think he's worth taking the punt on. I really do. I think, there's likes of Mitrovic that has Manchester City and Manchester United in game weeks 15 and 16. Maybe a little bit difficult to hold on to him. Of course, he's an extra, let's say, £1 million than him. Maybe it's a little bit too difficult to reach. But if you have got that spare money lying around, then I think that's quite an easy move. I think if Ivan Toney goes and gets himself suspended by another yellow card, then potentially he's an easy move to Calvert-Lewin. So again, that kind of comes into the thinking in terms of his recommendation. I think there's a lot of teams and a lot of structures out there that can get themselves to Calvert-Lewin. And like I say, I think over these next few weeks, it looks like Green Arrow territory, right? So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys, on what you thought of these transfer targets. Are these players anyone that you're considering personally? Have you already brought them in ahead of their price rises? Let me know your thoughts in the comments if I've missed anyone else that you think I should have recommended. And of course, good luck for game week 14 tomorrow. I will have a live stream from 10 a.m. onwards, so feel free to tune into that. If you haven't before, essentially I just showcase all of my team details from bench options to captaincy choices and any transfers that I do make ahead of that deadline. And of course, here to answer any of your questions, headaches, benching dilemmas, all of that good stuff. So feel free to join me in that stream tomorrow morning, guys. And again, if you're new around here and you do like the content, then please consider subscribing to me. That 500 mark is definitely in sight. So let's try and reach that together, guys. I've had fantastic support for this channel and the community so far, and just looking forward to continuously growing that with you guys this season. So thank you again for all the support so far and watching this video, guys. And I will see you in the live stream tomorrow or in another video soon. Take care.